Well, we fared pretty good for the most part throughout Northeast Florida, and as Mayor Donna Deegan said in a briefing on Wednesday evening, we're very, very fortunate when you consider just how close the debris field was and the significant winds from Idalia, not too far from Jacksonville, about 60 miles to the west throughout Lake City. We continue to survey a lot of tree damage reports, and in the Big Bend of Florida, just a 2-hour drive to our west, we continue to see some pretty haunting damage pictures and storm surge and tree damage reports coming in from Madison and Taylor County. For the most part, we had really high winds, which was the forecast from the First Alert Weather Center throughout the duration and most of the last week or so. 60-plus mile-an-hour wind gusts in Jacksonville, and there are pockets of damage, still scattered power outages to restore. But again, for the most part, we fared well, and that then leads to well over 100 first responders from JSO, JFRD, and JEA linemen and women who are headed into Madison County now for a 14-day mission to help in the rescue and recovery efforts, especially in the Big Bend and North Central Florida. Statewide, we continue to follow damage reports and assessments that are coming in. We'll hear from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis throughout the morning likely, and we'll have those updates as we continue to survey damage and see some of the areas that were really hard hit with storm surge from Cedar Key to the north into Crystal River and throughout parts of Perry, which really seems like it was kind of ground zero for the worst of Idalia. Chief Meteorologist Mike Burris says it's still going to be pretty humid. Unfortunately, we're not going to go as dry as once thought, and the next several days should be relatively uneventful, except for this afternoon. Early afternoon, we may have some pretty gusty thunderstorms, may have an impact on the release for school for those that are back. Duval County still out, remember, until Friday. And we could actually see greater rainfall totals today, Thursday, than what we had for all of Idalia. And we knew that this would be a wind event, not necessarily a rain event. But boy, that's something when you consider a tropical event and not really getting a whole lot of rain from it. The pattern then goes pretty dry for Labor Day weekend and only seasonally hot. So that's not too terribly bad. You'll find gas prices around the Jacksonville area as low as about $3.76 a gallon is what we spotted this morning. $3.46 a gallon. We spot the state average nearing $3.76 a gallon as we're headed into a very busy Labor Day weekend. We'll see if those prices may fluctuate depending on any potential damage in the Gulf of Mexico, and we'll have those updates for you. And a lot of stories that you may have missed amidst all of the coverage of Hurricane Idalia, including the health scare for Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, apparently freezing once again during a news conference. It's the third time in as many months that something along those lines has occurred, raising a lot of questions about the 81-year-old's health and wellness going forward. And we'll continue to follow the ongoing legal saga surrounding former President Trump with continuing coverage of that story, both from Washington into Atlanta, Georgia, and the Fulton County District Attorney, and also in South Florida. Don't forget the documents case. These and other stories updated throughout 10 o'clock on the Thursday edition of Jacksonville's Morning News. You can follow our coverage of Hurricane Idalia and the aftermath in the 104.5 WOKV app.